Hi everyone, this is Dikshit. Welcome to my channel. In this particular video, I'm going to discuss about deploying microservices using Docker. Before going to do that, so we will see what are all the problems with monolithic code, and also we will see what are all the advantages if we go for microservices. And the first problem with monolithic code, which makes very complicated to understand, and also it is very difficult to maintain if monolithic code grows. So for example, let's say you have four services, and which is that particular application which is running from last 2 years. And if a new person comes into your project, or a guy from comes from other team who starts working on your project, so then it is very difficult because all the services put together they're in the same code, and he has to understand a lot of flows. Also, the code might grow, so to maintain that also it's very difficult, and scaling becomes very challenging when you go with monolithic code. So when you are getting a too much traffic, for example, let's say uh, initially you used to get like 100 requests. So for that, like one application instance is enough. But your traffic is growing like 1,000. So in that case, you need to have 10 more instances of your application is running in web server. So what happens is, as I mentioned earlier, four services are there. So assume like in four services, one is shoes, and another one is offers, another one is like login, and one more thing is cart. So here, as offers are going on, so more users are coming to offer service. So here, I don't want to make other services to deploy it again and again. I just want offer service to be deployed multiple instances because I'm getting more traffic for that service. But as we are going with a monolithic, all the code is dumped in a single jar or a artifact. So we want to create a copy of it. So even though only one service getting the traffic, but we need to we have coded our whole application monolithically. So wherein all the services are put together, we need to create a replica of the whole code. So that's where wherein like microservices come into picture, and it can solve wherein like you can scale your particular microservice tightly coupled. Whenever you change something in one of the services, it might affect other services as well, and extremely difficult to change the technology language framework because everything is tightly coupled depend on each other. So when you go with monolithic, for example, as I already mentioned, there are four services. Assume like four services are there. So when you want to change some of the like offers page from PHP to Python, so wherein like you'll get a little more advantage if you use Python. So in that case, if you change that code again, it will create a lot of problems. Maybe like whatever the things, maybe methods, few methods that you have defined in your offers page is used across other services as well. So then when you change that one, it will be difficult to, I mean, take that on that things. Also, the flows and it's very tidy. Means like everything is tightly coupled. If you change one thing, it might affect other things as well. And also, when you want to convert, like now my application is on PHP, I want to convert it to Spring Boot, or I want to convert it to any other technologies. So then I had to understand all the whole flows and uh, all the linkage between each service. I want to read about those things, and it is very difficult to change from one language or a technology or a framework to another. And then non-ability to change the tech stacks will affect the business badly and make to lose a lot of modern tech solutions. So this is the one of the major things. So when you work with monolithic application, let's say your project is running on some old code. So when you have competitors, basically, like let's say you have one website and your competitor has one more website wherein it is loading in 2 seconds because he's using the latest technologies. But when you have a code like with our old technologies, it might take a little time to load. So even that does matter when you go with your business. So the time, the loading time, the user interfaces, all those things does matter. So that's why you need to keep up to the latest technologies in the market. Like you need to use all the latest technologies to make your product in a good manner. Refactoring the code base is difficult and no fault isolation. So here, when you have a lot of tightly coupled components, so it is very difficult refactoring the code. So in one of the cases I have seen wherein like the project was very big, So there are a few of the standards, like for example, let's say you have a Java code. So when you are writing a Java code, so Java organization will itself, it will give uh, some of the things that has to be followed. So those are the standards. For example, let's say each class shouldn't have more than 7 loops. Like if you use a for loop or a while loop, you shouldn't have more than 7. That is a standard. So I mean, when you want to make your code in a good manner, so you need to follow all those standards, right? So if you're not following it, still it will work, but it is not according to the standards. So if you want to do those things and somebody has already written, they've not followed all those standards. If you want to refactor that code, it will be very difficult because everything is there in the same code. You need to understand each and every component in that case. And also, if you change one method in any one of the function, it might affect other services, other components as well. So that might cause you to make your application go down, and it is very difficult to trace back where your application is failing. And also, if one function in your code consuming more memory, then the entire application, because all the code is there in that particular one only, it might take a lot of time. So to load because it might crash also because it is consuming more and more memory. So you can see here with a only single function. So assume like the function is related to offers, which has nothing to do with other services. So even other services will be impacted with that kind of approach. And these are the problems with monolithic architecture. Now let's see why we need to go for microservices. Microservice architecture, single responsibility principle approach. So here, when you go with microservices, each instances of your microservice is responsible to run its own application. So as I mentioned earlier, assume like you have 4 services, which is offers, login, and cart. So which runs individually. So the whole whenever you deploy it, so it is deployed independently. And microservices are small, independent, loosely coupled. I've already discussed about independent. And when you come across like microservices are loosely coupled, yes, these are loosely coupled because the code is now it is differentiated. Like each services code is there in different chunks of small codes here, right? So when you change anything, it doesn't affect other services. So that's the main intention of the microservices. And also microservices are decentralized, highly maintainable, and independently deployable. As we code the each microservice differently, we can deploy it more. Also, I guess we can uh, maintain that code microservices individually also. It doesn't require like, okay, you need to run this. After that only you need to run this. There is, when you deploy it, that dependency is there, but there is nothing like if that service doesn't work, this other service won't work because they are independent now and they have independently deployed and independently maintainable as well. And also, as you can see, scalability, availability, and reusability. When it comes to scalability, so we had one problem with monolithic, wherein the entire application you need to deploy it when you want a more number of your application instance to be there. But in case of microservices, we had discussed one problem, right? Like all the 4 services are uh, not getting the traffic, but only one service which is getting the traffic. In that case, we can make sure we will create multiple replicas of that particular microservice wherein it will handle the load. So by which we can maintain high availability and scalability of our application and improves fault isolation. So here, when any error comes in, so we will easily able to track where the issue is and where the error is. But when you go with monolithic, it is very difficult. You need to come with the entire flow how it is working, and eliminates a long-term commitment to a single technology stack. Code different code for a different services can be written in different languages. So in my case, in my demo, I'm gonna use this particular point, wherein like I have a couple of microservices. Each microservices is written in different languages. We will try to integrate all those things uh, by using like Docker containers. So this is the advantage of microservices. Each service can be developed in different languages. It can be a Python, it can be a Node.js, it can be Java, any languages, for instance. And there is no like long-term commitment as we go with monolithic. If you want to change the code base, there are many challenges. But when it comes to microservice, each microservices you can change it. It is the small chunk of code is better than the whole project, right? So that's why which is better to maintain, and we can always convert our code to the latest technologies easily, and can be developed, deployed, and maintained independently. This I've already discussed. Services can also be deployed independently of each other, and hence it is easy to identify the odd services and scale them independently, the whole application. As I already mentioned, so when you get a more request and a particular microservice, you can create more replicas of it, and you can handle the traffic very easily. And development team scaling, each service is separate code base. So when you're going with microservices, they can maintain the code for each microservices in different repos, and they can maintain it easily and they can scale it easily. So all these advantages comes into picture when you go for microservices. So now we will gonna discuss about our demo. Like I have 6 microservices. So one of which is UI application, and one more is API gateway, and other 4 are API applications. And so I have used different languages. So wherein like UI is developed by using React.js, and other microservices are done using Spring Boot, Python, and Node.js. This is the services. I have UI, wherein which will be the access point for users, which is exposed on 8080 and developed by using React.js. And then I have Zool API Gateway. So why I'm having Zool API Gateway is if you don't have it, still it works. But the main problem with that is, so UI engineer, whoever develops this UI application, right? He has to know what all the APIs are there. Depending on these API calls, you need to change continuously the UI, and also assume like if they change some of the methods and some of the uh, conventions in API services, then it has to be updated again in UI side. I also assume like now I have only 4 API services. Think about like I have hundreds of microservices, API microservices. In that case, I have to, like, the UI engineer will spend his whole time in like having an interaction between the API microservices engineers itself. So to avoid these things, to have a better communication between UI and API services, Zool API Gateway is one of the middle layer wherein the UI will communicate with the Zool API Gateway. So wherein like Zool, then again it will redirect to the particular API services. So this is the idea. So now let's get into the code base. And this particular code, it has been taken from one of my friends' GitHub. So he has a video as well. I strongly recommend to watch that particular video because you'll get to know what are all the configurations that you need to change when you want to deploy it on your missions. Because it is always better when you are deploying a particular application, you need to know from the development side and the configurations, then only you will be able to use many concepts, and in a good manner you can deploy your application. I'm gonna show few configurations, but it is always better watch that video. You'll get to know many more things. So now let's get onto the code base. So I've already taken that code, and also I'll leave a link for that GitHub, and also I'll leave a link in description for that video as well. So now let's start. So as I already mentioned, if you see the diagram, I've given the ports on what port it has been exposed, and also the language it has been developed. My UI is React.js, and Zool API Gateway is Spring. I have 4 microservices, so which is Shoe, uh, which is running on 1002, which is developed by Spring Boot, and also Offers, which is again developed by using Spring Boot, which runs on 1001, and the Cart microservice, which is developed by using Node.js and which runs on 1004, and Wishlist, which is developed by using Python, and the port number for that is 1003. Okay, and now, so the expectation is this. So this is a UI that I should be able to see when I deploy my particular UI microservice. And also, I'm not concentrating much on the UI part. I have 4 buttons, right? Choose, offers, cart, and wish list. When I click on each button, it should trigger its own microservices, API microservice, and then I should be able to see a JSON output. So UI is not that much rich, but I just want to show you guys how we can integrate it easily with the different languages for each microservices, how we can have a connection between each and every microservice by using Docker. So now let's get into the code base. And this is, I've already cloned onto my local. And now we will try to, we will construct a Docker file here and we will push it back to my GitHub. And then we will take the code from GitHub to my Docker machine where we will gonna deploy this applications by using Docker. And we will see how the outcome is. The first one is UI web application. And so this is basically a React.js application. So let's write a Docker file for this. And I have an empty Docker file, the file name empty Docker file. So now let's start writing Docker file. So for every Docker file, so we need to have a base image. So in my case, it's a React.js. So I need to take a node 8 as my base image. So that is my requirement for this particular application. So base image should be a node base image. In my case, I'll take from and space node colon 8 as my base image. And also I want to make my work directory as /app. So let me take, so I want to take this and /app. So let me, and then after doing this, I want to copy my code from local onto this image. The command for this, the Docker instruction that we need to use it for that is copy, and you can use add also. But better according to Docker best practices, it is always better to go for copy. So when you have some instances wherein like some from the URL you want to download it, in that cases, so you can go for add. So now I want to copy all the code from my local onto the Docker image, right? I'll just give copy dot dot from the local of my machine to the image to the present working folder. In my case, I've already set work directory as /app, so it will gonna copy to the /app. And then after that, run. And then I want to build my code, right? So to build the code, npm code, node code. So then you need to use npm, sorry about that, npm install. And then once you do that, so in my case, I want to expose this UI application at port 8080. So actually this instruction does not actually expose it, but for the documentation purpose, you can make it. Like if someone wants to create an image out of this, they'll come to know if they want to create a container out of this image. So we need to expose the 8080 port. So it's just for the documentation. And then the last one, once the image is created, when I run the container, I want to run a command, which is npm start. So whenever you want to run any command on the start of the container, you need to give the CMD or an entry point. In my case, I'm using CMD. So npm and comma, here I need to give start. So this is about the Docker file for UI web application. And so here I'm gonna create Docker file for each microservice, and then we will push it back to the GitHub. And from there, we will take onto my Docker machine, because Docker is not installed in my local machine. That's why I'm gonna use separate VM for that, and wherein we will build the images and we will create a Docker containers by using that. Okay, and then so we will go for Zool API Gateway, and which is a Spring Boot application. As you can see, we have a pom.xml, and so by that we can make sure which is Java application. And for this, I'm using a multi-stage Docker file, because in my, again, I'm assuming in the VM or wherever I run this particular file, so Maven is not installed. So that's the reason I want to take the code from my local onto the image, build it, and then run it. So to reduce the image size, so I'm going for this multi-stage Docker file, because if I don't go for it, I need to have an image which is installed with a JDK and Maven. So let's start writing the Docker file. Again, this is a Java project. So for that, and also the build tool is Maven. So that's why I'm gonna use from Maven. And so as I already mentioned, this is multi-stage. That's why I'm gonna use build. So I'm giving just aliasing because in another stage, so wherein I want to refer it by using this name itself. And then, sorry about that. I'll just gonna give build, and then it's giving a lot of auto. And then after that, I want to set my work directory, and I'll make it a standard wherein /app. And then after that, so let me copy the code from the local, whatever is there in my Docker context, I need to copy it onto the present working directory in the image. And after that, just using run, do mvn install. So this is a command to build your code in Maven. Okay. After which, write one more from, as I said, multi-stage Docker file. So when you use multi-stage, the main intention of doing that is to reduce the image, or else you can take with a single image itself, you need to have Maven and JDK in it, so that the image size will be more in that case. So that's why, to avoid that, I'm taking this multi-stage Docker file. And also the image that I'm gonna use it for this is this particular one, OpenJDK 11 JRE. So let me copy this and then paste it here. Okay, and this is my base image to run my whatever the artifact that I've generated in the last stage, so which is this stage. And now I'll again do work directory, work dir, and again /app. So once that is done, I want to copy the artifact which is generated from this stage to here, right? So I need to use copy, and then I need to give ---- from. So if you don't know what multi-stage Docker file is, I have a detailed video on that. So I'm gonna leave that link again in the description so you can refer it. So sorry for the typo mistake. From is equals to, in my case, it is a build because the previous stage, if you see. Okay. And then after which I need to give what file I need to copy, right? So which is under app, because my application was under app. So when the build completes successfully, there will be folder which is created under Maven, the project folder start, and the jar file or artifact file will be created with whatever we give it in this naming convention. So it will be created, in my case, this is a pom.xml, right? It will create Zool minus 0.0.1 hyphen snapshot, and I don't have any packaging tag here. If the packaging tag specified, then with that extension it will gonna create. So by default it is set to jar. So in my case it will be a jar. So it will be Zool minus and the version which is 0.001 and minus snapshot. Sorry. And the extension will be jar, to where I need to copy /app. So dot also will work, but I'm just giving the actual path itself. Okay. And now once this is done, so what you need to do is for the documentation purpose, you can just use this instruction expose. I want to run this particular application on 4 nines port, 9999, and then afterwards I want to run my application by using java-jar and the artifact name. So for that, what we will do is Java, comma, double quotes, hyphen jar, and then again a comma, and I need to give the artifact name here. So the artifact name in my case, it will be this one, because I'm just copying to the slash app and I'm executing all the things in this work directory, if you see, right? So this is the artifact name I should give it. So this is about the Docker file for my Zool API gateway. So the next one is my, and also one more thing I want to show you guys here. The main problem with this particular code, I mean, I am currently working on that with my friend wherein to change the few things here. The main thing here is not in Zool. So when you go for a UI web application, so when you see the code, source component app dot JSX, here if you see, I've hard coded this missions IP. Wherever I'm doing wherever I'm deploying my this code by using Docker, right? So here it is expecting you need to give the IP address of your API gateway where it is running. So this is the one problem with this code. So we are currently working on it. So wherever we deploy it, it should get automatically that IP address and replace it here. So I'm gonna when the next idea is we will gonna deploy these applications by using Kubernetes. Hope in that time this issue will be solved, and I'm gonna show this particular application by using that solution. But right now, so wherever you're running it, like if you take one host when you're deploying this application there, so then try to replace this IP address with your IP addresses. Now let's just go on to other stuff, and which is UI is done and Zool API gateway is done. So now you might have one more question. As you can see from the diagram, so Zool API will redirect the request. Now you can have one more question, where exactly this configuration you are doing it in Zool API gateway. So let's see that also. So if you see Zool API gateway code, and under source, I have something called as main folder. Under that, we have resources folder. In the application properties, sorry, not in the application.properties, application.yml here. So if you see, whenever I'll just compare it with your UI code and this one, you'll then easily will be understood. So let's take a different view and editor layout. I'm gonna take one more at the right. So let me reduce this. Here, let me open that Zool API gateway, the application.yml. Here, if you see, so whenever that UI page I've shown you, right? So whenever you click on this shoes, what happens is it calls this function. If you see, this is a HTML I have. Shoes, this is a button. If you see here, this is a buttons that I'm creating it. Shoes, offers, and then we have cart and we have wish list. So when you click on this, if you see, I'm calling a function which is handle API call. So when you come onto the top, so this is the function it will gonna call, and you can see the constant URL. I'm just giving it. I'm displaying that URL. We will be able to see this particular URL on the UI as well. And here, if you see, it is sending a request HTTP, the IP address 999 and hyphen e dot target dot name. So if you see here, for the name of each button is different. For this, the name is shoes/shoes, and the offer slash offers. For the cart, it is just a cart. So this particular value will be replaced here. And now if you see here, so anything, so in the application.yml of Zool API gateway, we have something like path, URL and all. So if the path, so whatever you're sending it from UI to Zool API gateway, if something has offers, then that request is redirected to this particular IP. And then when the path has something shoes, so then it is redirected to this API service. So internally, we are just calling API gateway, but API gateway is redirecting depending on the path what you set, right? So whenever you click on a shoe button, in the URL you'll have shoe. So that's why in that case, it will gonna redirect to this particular API services and it will get the output. It will communicate with that and it will get the output from that particular API service. So this is the two major configurations that you need to know. So that's why I told you it's always better see how it has been developed. As I mentioned earlier, I'll gonna leave that link in description. You can watch that video and then watch this deployment video. You'll get a clear picture. So let's close. We will move on with our Docker file creation. So now for two applications, we have created a Docker files. And now, so I'll gonna do write Docker file for offers and shoes. Again, these are similar to Zool API gateway because those are also Maven projects and also which is written by using Spring Boot and the build tool, which is similar, which is Maven. So that's the reason. Let me copy paste. Only the change will be the artifact names. Let's go to offers first and take. So you can see here the pom.xml is there. So that means our build tool is Maven. Now let's go to pom.xml. So you can see the version is same and only the artifact ID we need to change. So in my case, it is not Zool. It should be offers. So here also let me update it. So let's save it. Everything else will be the same. And then I'll copy paste same thing in offers microservice. So here let's copy paste and go to pom.xml. We will see the artifact name, which is shoes. So let me copy this and go to Docker file, just change the artifact name and the version is same actually for all the three microservices. That's why let's keep this and then I'm just verifying it again. Yes, nothing changes, only this artifact name changes. And now we have two more microservices. One is cart, so which is developed by using Node.js. So now for this, again, I need to take a Node image. So here the Node version that I want is 14. So that's why I want to use Node version which is related to like 14. So that's why in that case I'm using from Node 14. Okay, and after that I want to copy the code. So before that, let me set my working directory work dir and I'll just keep /app and then after which I need to copy my code from Docker present context to the present folder of my image. And once that is done, I want to run npm install. So for that, I'm gonna use instruction run npm install. And once after that, so you need to run some command when you create a container, right? So for that, I'm gonna use a cmd space and double quotes npm start. I need to give index.js. Sorry, not npm here. I need to use node because this is a node application, node, and then colon index.js. So when you refer that particular URL, so GitHub URL, so wherein he has given all the build instruction information and on what ports it has to run. So all that information is already given. And also here, if you see, I have not given the build instructions, but I've given on what ports it is running. So we need to update that also. Let me write for this. So expose. So this particular card service, which is running on 1004, and the command by using which I'm going to run this is node index.js. And we will quickly update expose 999, so which is correct, but shoes, which will be different. So shoes will be running on 1002. So let's update. It won't create any problem, but if someone sees this Docker images, they'll be confused. So that's why I just want to make sure I'll update these things. Offers will run on 1001. 1001. So let's save it. And the last one, wish list. So which is, you can see index.py, which is a Python application. Okay. So now I want Python. So that's why I'm gonna take, my application is written by using Python 3. So I want to take from Python colon not caps Python 3, and then after which, so I want to copy the code, right? So copy and then dot dot. So from the current to the present working folder. So before that, if you want, we can make that also, but let's ignore in this case, and then use run pip install. Here I want to install my components which are required to run my particular Python program, which is pip install, and then give the dependencies that you want to install. Ask, in my case, these dependencies are needed, so that's why I'm giving it. And once that is done, so by using cmd, you're gonna run your Python cmd, and I need to open square braces and give comma. Here, the command for this is just Python. Let me Python, and in this side, you need to give the file name. In my case, index.py, and which should be exposed at the port 1003. So if you see wishlist 1003, expose 1003. So let's save it. Now we have created a Docker file for each and every microservice. Now what we will do is we will push this code onto my GitHub, and from there we will clone it back onto my machine, and then we will create a Docker images and then create a containers out of it, and we will access the UI. We should be able to see the output of microservices, each microservices. So let me do git status. Yes, my Docker files are updated. Now git add dot git commit -m. The commit message, I'll just give Docker file, and once that is done, just do git push. So it will take a little time. So yes, now my code is pushed onto my GitHub, and let me go to my GitHub. Let me quickly grab. I can see there is recent commit. Okay, and I'm already in Docker file, and the branch name is Docker file that I'm using. And let's verify it whether the code has come or not. Obviously it should come. So it's there. Now let's copy this onto my VM. So where I have, let me clear the screen and let me do Docker PS. So there are few containers which is running, few of the Kubernetes components. That's fine. So let me clone that, git clone, and microservices architecture config starter will be my folder name. So let me get into that and git branch. So I am in main branch, but my code is in other branches, right? Docker files. So that's why. Let me check out to that. Git checkout, and the branch name will be Docker file. So now I'm in this particular Docker file branch. So let's go to UI, and what we will do is we will initiate Docker build command. Docker build dot, we will tag it as UI, and then just click on enter. It will gonna take a little time to build this particular image. So until then, I'll gonna just pause this video. Now you can see my image is built, and when I do Docker images, I should be able to see the image. So you can see 22 seconds ago, I've created a UI image, and maybe I've created these images before. So let's, I mean, in my case, the UI image, you can see it is created 22 seconds ago. And let's go back and let's go to Zool API gateway. And again, we will create Docker build dot, and we will tag it Zool API. And so let's give it a little time. And also again, I'm just pausing it up because it has to download a lot of dependencies, because every time the container image, when you create an image, it will be a fresh instance. It has to download all the Maven dependencies. So now you can see my event Zool API gateway Docker file is successful. And so now all the 4 other API microservices that we will gonna build. So first I'll go with shoes. So we will do Docker build dot, let me tag it as shoes. This is also again a Maven project. So it has to download the dependencies and then it will create an image out of it. And when you're deploying it, the ports are very important because as I mentioned earlier, in my Zool API gateway, I have mentioned this application.yml. So this is the main thing. So whenever you just have offers in it, it will gonna go to that particular port, which is running, right? So we have to make sure offers is running on 1001 and shoe application runs on 1002 and the wish list runs on 1003 and the cart application runs on 1004. So now you can see this is also done. So let's go back to one more, which is offers. So Docker build dot -t, and then let me name this one as offers. So once this is done, so we will gonna by using Docker run commands, we will run all our services in the daemon mode by using -d option, and also I'm gonna use -p option to publish the ports. Let's wait for this to build. It'll take a couple of seconds. And after this video, I'll gonna do one more video by using Kubernetes. I'll gonna deploy these applications. Also, I'll make sure as much as concepts and as much as objects that I'll be able to use it. I'll gonna use it there and I'll deploy this particular application. Now, 4 microservices are done. So let's go onto the cart. There's Node.js one and Docker build dot -t, and then let me give the name. The image name should be, not should be, you can give whatever you want. My case, I'll just give it as cart. So my I guess Node 14 base image wasn't there, so that's the reason it is just downloading. And then once this is done, so I'll gonna take the Python application, which is the Westlist application. I'll gonna build that one, And then we will start with creating a containers by using each and every one. My cart application image is done. So let me go to offers. So let's build this one as well. Docker build and then dot -t and wish list. So it will take little time to build. Oh, it took very little time. Okay, this is already done. I guess we need to go to wish list, not the offers. Wish list and Docker. Oh, I just retagged it. So let me do Docker images. And if you see, there is one image with shoes. So wishlist is not done it. So maybe this, what was that image wishlist? So I did it for offers, right? Yes, I was in offers and I did it for wishlist. Okay, let it be. So there are two images. Maybe I'll just remove it. Docker RMI wishlist. Okay, so now I'm gonna do Docker build dot -t. I'll just name it as wish maybe. So once these are done, so we can start by creating each and every microservice. So now I've created a Docker image for my Python application also. So let's see. So I have a image for wish list, cart, offers, shoes, Zool API gateway, and there should be UI. I'm not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There should be UI. I'm not sure like where it went. Okay, so let's go back to that and just create one more image for UI. Docker build dot -t UI. So I guess we've created, I don't know where it went, but let's create one more image and then we will start creating the containers. Now I have all the images. So let's start creating the containers out of it. The first one is UI, Docker run -d, and the application should run on the port 8080. So I'm gonna expose the mission's port 8080 and as well as it should be redirected to the container port 8080. And the image name is UI and the latest tag. If you don't give also, it'll by default, it assumes as latest. So now let's create that. So let's see Docker PS, which is up and running. And then I need to take my IP address. So let me grab it from here. And then let's try to access that application. 8080. So I should be able to see the UI and other things. So basically it shouldn't work because we have still not deployed those microservices. You should get something like this. Probably this one, this microservice is down. Okay, because we have not still deployed our API gateway and also the microservices. And now next what we will do is we will gonna create a Zool API gateway. So which should run on again 499999 port. So -d, -p, and then I'll just give 9999 and colon 9999. And then, so I need to give the image name, in my case, which is Zool/API. So when I give this, so again, still even now, like it shouldn't work. Now we have just created API gateway, but that API gateway has to send the request to our particular API services, right? Still, you will be able to see the same output. So now let's go ahead and deploy one of the microservice. So we will just deploy the first one, the shoes run and -d-p. This service has to run on 1002. So again, I'll just give 1002. So which is the host port to the container port. So image name is shoes. So now when I do docker ps, you'll be able to see 3 containers which are running. So which is UI, and this one is for Zool, and you can see this one is for shoe. So now let's go to our browser, refresh it, and when I click on shoes, as you can see, it is getting the output. Right? It's a random, as I said, I'm not giving much importance for the UI. I'm just throwing the gsense from my microservices. That's it. And now when you still click on offers, cart, wishlist, it shouldn't work because we have not created that microservices. We have not deployed that microservices yet. So only right now, which is working shoes. So this is the advantage. Like, let's say you have anything problem with shoes. So you'll know that like what microservice has to go and where I need to change the code, where I need to check the code. And now let's go to my server again and let me do Docker. Let me clear the screen. Docker images I'll do because I need the list of images. So now Docker, the next thing we will take is offers. Docker run -d-p, and offers should run on 1001. So let's go ahead, give 1001 the host port and this one, and my image name is offers. Oh, sorry, the image name is wrongly given. So now it has to be deployed. So now let's go to my browser, refresh it, and when I click on offers, I should be able to get this. So I can see 10% discount, 70% discount, and 50% discount. So now the next one we were going to take is cart application. The cart application should run on 1004 docker run -d-p, and then the port 1004:1004, and then the image name is cart. And let me deploy it, that wishlist to run -d and -p. It should run on 1003, and then my image name is wish. So now when I do docker ps, so all my services are up and running. You can see index.py, and I'm running this a Node.js application. So other two are my Springboard and Zool API gateway and UI application. So now it is completely done. When I refresh it and I just click on shoes, I should be able to see the output which is related to shoes microservice. So when I click on wishlist, it should, let me check the output. So why it is not giving docker ps, let me check docker logs, and then the log of this. So which is up and running. I'm not sure why it is. So you can see on the cart also it is up and running. Okay, so let me check that. But So I can see offers is working and even the cart is working, cart application, and shoes offers are cart and working. Wish list, let me check it. So why it is not working? So now you can see, so there are different languages that we have used, and it is very easy wherein like we can take images and wherein we don't have any installations like Maven, Node.js and our host machine. And then we have, without installing any tools, we have deployed our application. This is where advantages comes with microservices plus the Docker. Okay, and wishlist is not working. Let me have a look into that. So I've got the problem why it is not working, because one of the requirement, like whenever you run a Python program, basically by default it accepts at the 5000 port. But if you see, this is a host port, that is correct. But in my case, inside my container, which accepts the request at 5000 port. So I need to make sure. So whenever you are running a Docker uh, web applications or API services, which accepts at 5000 port. So you have to remember that. So let me, in my case, 5000. If you do some customization, so you can take whatever the port it is. But in my code, if you see, so which is, I have not mentioned any port. So that's why by default it's just 5000. Then that's the reason I had to stop this container, recreate it. And maybe that time I'll be able to see the output there. Docker run -d -p, and so which is 113, sorry, 1003 is correct, but which takes at the 5000 and then wish. So now I've created the new container, right? Let me do docker ps, yes, which is up and running. So now let's go to UI and refresh it. Now it has to work. Shoes, so which is up and running. Offers, you can see the output is different, and the cart. And when I click on this list, so I can see so that's why, like, whenever you're deploying your applications onto the Docker or any platform, it's better always know the configurations and always know like what how they've developed it. So it'll give a better idea to deploy it onto your machines. So that's it for this video. So I just wanted to show like how we can Dockerize, now we can deploy our applications easily by using Docker with the different coding languages that I've used for different applications. So this is what I wanted to show. And yeah, so the next target is, so we will going to deploy these applications by using Kubernetes and Helm. So, and we will see so how it goes. And also, as I said, I'm just hard coding the IP right now. So I'll try to implement in such a way that it won't be IP address. It has to be automatically take that's the server IP, and then it will be deployed, and we will be able to uh, use like in efficient manner rather than hard coding the IP address there. So that's it for this video. Thank you. Have a good day.